Hi, it's me. I've been promising the girls over on my site, www.myscraproom.ning.com, that I would do a little how-to video for them about things that I've done or little tips I've seen or whatever. So this is that. I'm going to get right into it because I got a lot to show you. So tip 1. They asked me how to make the pocket in my Baby Girl Mini that's on the cover, inside cover of the first page. So basically what I did was I took 2 envelopes. These happen to be 3.5 by 6.5, and I sealed them and I covered them with scrapbook paper. That's the first thing I did. The next thing I did was I took one of the envelopes and I folded it up 2 inches, and then I took the other envelope and I folded it up 2 3/4 inch. I then took my corner rounder and I rounded the corners at the 1/2 inch with my corner chomper, and I took my scissors and I cut an ever so slight sliver off of the ends of each piece of the envelope so that that would create pockets. You take the 2 3/4, you slide it into the 2 inch, and there you go. You have cascading pockets. What is good about this is because not only do you have the pockets that can go into the envelopes there, but depending on how you tape it, you can also have a second pocket behind each envelope. So for example, here's the one in the pocket, and then if I tape on both sides, I can put yet another one behind that, and so on and so on and so on. In my book, what I did was I made this a pocket, I made this a pocket, and then I did not seal these so that when opened you had another place for photo journaling and all that. And if you go to that video, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. It'll make much more sense, but it's very, very easy to do. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to show you is this is not my idea. I got this someone on the net, and if you did it, please tell me it's you and I'll put your name on the screen because I don't remember. I just remember seeing it when I was watching vids one day. They took a brad and an eyelet, slid the brad into the eyelet, and it made a knob. Can you see that? Whoops, where am I? Made a knob, little knob. So when you're putting your envelopes like this and you want to have that little string closure there, by doing that, what happens is it raises that brad up off of, let me see, there you go, it raises it up off of the surface so that you can actually wrap a string around it. And I did try it with bigger brads too, and it works fine. So you might want to do that next time. There you go, you can see how it sits up off the surface. So that's another idea I thought was really good. Give me a use for all those brads I have collected around all over the place. Next idea, you know how when you're working and you want pearls and you only have white pearls and all that? Well, by simply using permanent markers, like my Bic Markets, you can change them to, sorry I dropped something, you can change them to any color you want. As you can see there, I changed it to blue, and it still keeps that nice pearl look to it as well. This is very effective when you're using these white pearls as well, because you can see here I've colored some black before, and it really helps to because you can always get these white ones really inexpensively, but somehow the colors cost more, so you can just do them yourself. Okay, so that's another tip for you. Next idea will be tags. Many people have a hard time getting tags, the shipping tags. They either can't get them at their Staples. They look like this. Let me scoot this out. They look like this, and a lot of people have a hard time getting them. I recently found these Gigantor ones at Remember When I was there, and you know, you can just make your own simply using a manila folder like that. You cut out your, there's my manila folder, you just cut out your shape that you want, angle the corners and punch a hole, and for the little reinforcements that you see there, like that one, there's several things you can do. I have a punch myself that actually looks like this, and it makes those already. So they're kind of big, but it does work. Simply punch it, and there you go. I have my little ring there. If you don't have this, another thing you could do is you could take your regular hole punch, oops, sorry, punch a hole, then get your little tiny hole punch. I don't even know what size this is, but I got this at Target, I believe. You see there, it's tiny. And simply center that punched hole. Well, this isn't going to work because I'll tell you why. I don't have my paper's a little, I put it in too deep. Okay, back again. Let's try that. So now you take your little circle punch, just center that on there and punch. And there you have your little circle to put around your hole. The other thing you can do is in the spool section, you can buy these reinforcements. And what makes it nice is that with those permanent markers, you can just color them and you'll get a nice color to match whatever you're doing. As you can see here, I got a pink one. So that was the next tip. Okay, let's move on. And the next one, let's see, I made something for Bona when I went to my crop, and I said I would show you all what it was, or how to make it, or you wouldn't believe what it was made out of, or something like that. And this is what I made, a butterfly. And I'll tell you where this came from. One day I was sitting around the table with my family, and we were drinking something, and it had these plastic tabs, and these are so dangerous for our environment and whatever, but I was sitting there looking at it, and being a scrapbooker, you always look at things differently, and I saw right in that section, right here, a butterfly. Basically just went in, I cut it out, there's the piece I had. I ended up with alcohol inking. I rounded the corners off here, added some bling down the center and some stamen, and there you go, instant butterfly, and keep these things out of the landfill. You can also color it with, this is done with Stays-On pads. They just took longer to dry, and I actually like the alcohol ink look better, so anyway, that's just that for you. Okay, next tip. Sorry, I'm going fast, but I want to get it all in. For those of you that don't know, paper does have a grain just like fabric does. You can determine what the grain of the paper is simply by trying to lightly bend it. You see here I'm pressing it with my fingers and it's hardly moving. That means I'm going against the grain. But when I turn the paper this way, you can tell just by doing that how easily it bends. That means I'm going with the grain. So when you're folding your paper to make cards and whatnot, you want to go with the grain. It just keeps especially white cord cardstock from cracking, which happens to do that on the seams a lot. So the next thing I'm going to show you involves a paper crimper. This is the next tip. These are old, and I've had mine sticking around for a while, and finally brought it out and tried to do something else with it. You're going to fold your paper in half, and you want to put this in your crimper at an angle. You're going to go ahead and run that through, and you're going to end up with your lines on the diagonal like this. See that? Now simply going to take my scissors, and I'm going to cut out kind of like an oval shape here. And what I've created for myself is a leaf, and you can see it has the veins like a leaf would have. It looks really cool. And what looks really nice too is when you ink them. And I have a tip for that as well, and I've shown this before. I use these cosmetic sponges, and I use Target's. For some reason they're a little bit more dense, and I really like the quality of them than the ones you get at the dollar store. I simply cut off that bigger part of the triangle, and I use one of these binder clips, and I stuff it up in there. And this is what I use for inking. I just figure it's cheap and it works just as good for me, and I really like the control I have over my stuff with it. So by simply taking this and rubbing your edges of this, oops, sorry, I want to make sure I'm in camera, and lightly running it over the surface. Well, I didn't do such a good job. I'm working between a tripod here, but anyway, you get the idea. It looks really beautiful, and in a pinch, if you need a leaf, it works. So that's that idea. And then, let's see, I hope I still have time. I'm going fast, like I said. My last idea, or actually a couple. I love to buy these hair doodads from the dollar store. They come in so many kinds and whatever. If you'll notice, some of them, when you get them, I like to take all this stuff off and use it for scrapbooking. I mean, why not? It's free bling, and I mean, not free, but it's cheap, and you get everything in there. Sometimes you get them and they're glued on, hot glued, and if you pull them, they'll break off. I've had that happen. But by simply holding it and running your heat gun over the back of it, it'll loosen it enough to take it off. I've done that with a lot of them that I have, and if you can see here, I did some of those earlier, and I ended up with so much different blings. I ended up with the aluminum roses, and I also ended up with these pretty little blingy flower thingies here. So yeah, that's where I get a lot of my stuff from. I mean, you don't have to have the name brands just to get the effect. You can just go this route if you can be lucky enough. Also, I like to look at hair ties, these things here. The reason I like these is because they come with also a lot of goodies on them, and you can always cut these off and use them as well in your scrapbooking. So some of these that come on the ponytail holders, if they're gems, you need to look at them carefully, and I'll tell you how this will segue into my next tip. I took these little things here off of the ponytail holders, and unlike beads where the hole goes straight through it or straight through this edge out this side, this one runs kind of, I don't know if you can tell there, it kind of goes through laying down, if you will. And these are going to be really great if you can find them and if you run across them for the next project that I'm going to show you. And I took these off of the ponytail holders, and you can see how many I got. I got tons of them. So what I want to show you that I do with those and with things like this. These are ornaments that we got last year. I don't know if you remember, everybody was kind of going wacky crazy, buying bling and ornaments and all that. And these are cheap. Besides dangling them off your mini, there was something else that you could do with them, and I'm going to share that with you. I use wire. This is cheap, thin as you can get it wire. Well, not too thin, but thin wire. I get it at the dollar store. You get 3 rolls of this for $1. Simply by taking, let's see, let me go with a pearl, one of these little pearls. I'm going to thread my pearl, and I'll show you what I'm making. Just be patient. Oh, let's see if I can do this. Thread your pearl, right? Then you're going to pull the ends down, and I like to pinch it close together right there just to bring it closer to the pearl. I'm going to take the ends of this wire and slide them into my pearl, the next pearl, because I have a brown one here in my hand, and I'm going to pull that all the way up. And you have to work at it just a hair. It doesn't take long, but you can get it. So what can you do with those, you ask? Well, look at what I did. I made knobs, you know, like the little openings you have on your mini books. This one was done actually different. This one was done, I used a stick pin right here, and I used a pearl, stuck that in. There's the knob that you see right here, and I simply punched a hole through the chipboard, and before you cover it, you just push this through, press the wire down so that it lays down, and cover it with, I used hot glue, and then just cover this with paper and you'll never even see it, and it makes a perfect closure. This was another bead I had, and I did basically the same thing. The reason you have to have something bigger at the top to hold the bead in place, especially if the hole's too big. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I also did this one with the hair thing that I just showed you, just by running it through that and pushing it through to the back and crossing it over and hot gluing it down. Then I have that pretty little knob there. And then this one here was this ornament. I know it looks big on here, but on a mini, like an 8x8, it's a perfect size. All I did was take the string off, run a wire through the hole in the gem, back down through that little cap, and then I glued in there because I wanted the gem to sit without rocking, and then put it through the chipboard and put the wire down. So there's my free little knobs. And you can also use those hair stretchy thingies, and you would put this on your back cover. You could staple it on before you put your pattern paper on, and so you would have it around the back, and it would simply come around and close your mini book. So you have a lot of room there. So those are just some tips I wanted to share with you. I hope this video came out good because I don't want to do it again. Have a good one. Bye. I'll do another one soon.